Morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing before this hectic new moon tomorrow? I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm collaborating with Emilija. We're gonna talk about Pluto transits, how they affect you, what is happening. Oh, there she is. Hi, Emilija. All good. I hope this works. It does. It just needs some time. Hi, good morning.
Hello,
How are
we're
you?
back again.
Yes, we are back again with this topic, Plutonian subject. How are you today? How are you feeling before this new moon?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, feeling good. I feel sort of out of it because I was away for a bit of time, just sort of doing some traveling, and now it feels like okay, it's time to really sort of be an adult again. And it was funny because
Ah,
this morning the card that I pulled was a Saturn return,
I
and it was
saw
funny.
that.
I was telling my boyfriend, I was like, "Oh, it's time to be an adult."
Yeah, today we have to kind of step it up. Step it up. Excuse me. Yeah, cool.
How are
I
you
love your
doing?
travels. I'm good. I'm busy as always. I'm just now even starting this workshop. I'm gonna do some. I'm seeing if people are interested, so I can do that. I just love. Anyway, everything about astrology makes me happy, even if I'm tired or feeling low. When I do astrology, it's much better,
That's
right? So I
very
love
Plutonian, huh?
it. Well, I do have Pluto in the first house in the quadrant system, if you look at
Okay,
so
yeah,
maybe
love it.
that's why. Awesome. So today we are collaborating to talk about Pluto as a transit. So why is this important? Because as you know, Pluto is coming to Aquarius. I know that many Aquarians are not looking forward to that, or Aquarian risings and stuff. But I'm going to talk from my experience because I had some hard transits in my lifetime and how they transformed me and my life. So we're going to talk about that because I've been through some of them. And then there's a Pluto, square Pluto, when you're around 40, that everybody 40 to depending, because Pluto doesn't have a circle elliptic. So in some signs, he's longer in some signs, and then depending on when it comes back or when it's squaring, it's just different. But it's from, I think, from 40 to even 45, depending on which sign. So how that affects people as well. Anyway, cool. Do you want to start with anything from your experience before I start blabbing? What is Pluto? What are your thoughts about Pluto as a planet first? Let's talk about it because I know you're a evolutionary astrologer and you start with Pluto. So tell us from that perspective, why is Pluto important?
Yeah, I think, Pluto is quite interesting because it challenges a lot of today's understanding of sort of doing spiritual work. Because I think there can be a lot of, spiritual work nowadays that's very much like focus on the good stuff and think positive thoughts. And from an evolutionary astrology, we look at Pluto as this idea that there are some, darker or not so pleasant things deep in your subconscious, in your psyche,
Mhm.
that perhaps you've chosen to repress, um, that are coming up during a Pluto transit, and you need to deal with them. Obviously, this can vary a lot, right? So it doesn't mean that everybody's gonna have all of a sudden starting to remember that they were assaulted when they were younger or something like that. It can be those
Mhm.
extremes, but on another end, it could be just realizing that like you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And you only have 40 years left to live, and you're like, yeah, I want to do something meaningful with my life. So it can vary in terms of
Mhm.
how it expresses. And of course, also it can vary in terms of like what planet is it contacting? Is it, sextiling, squaring,
Yes.
opposing? So that's sort of, yeah, it adds a lot of nuance to the story.
Yeah, I feel that Pluto the aspects are hard. I won't lie to you. Like, they really mess with your psyche. Like, they messes with your, you know, everything, who you. you think you are, who you believe you are, what you feel you are. Like it just, anyway. If you, I, back in the day when I went through all this Pluto transit, excuse me, see my voice, like something doesn't want to let me talk about it. Suppression, right? So people with anyway. I knew about astrology, but I was just looking at, charts of what people are like. I didn't do predictive. I didn't know anything about predictive astrology a
Yeah.
lot. So it was really hard. If I knew, maybe I would understand it better, or I would at least understand when it ends. So
Mm,
for me, when you know this astrology, you can escape some stuff. I mean, you can choose how to react to them, how to uh, live with them and work with them,
yeah.
but you can't escape them, right? So knowing what it's coming up and when will it end, it just gives you some peace, and peace of mind, right? So
Yeah.
it was, I didn't understand that point at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm
uh,
curious, what we don't have to get completely into them, but I'm curious, what were the Pluto transits that
yeah,
you
yeah,
went through?
I will talk openly about it, because if I feel that people, maybe they can, from my story, they can get some comfort or understanding,
Mm,
or whatever. So um, it was 1990. So it's interesting. There was oppositions. So first of all, I had an opposition with my sun. So when Pluto was in Sagittarius, I have all this Gemini stellium. First, it was opposing my sun and Mercury. It was around 1996. What happened then? I graduated high school,
mhm.
and because it's in the ninth house in the quadrant system, I couldn't enroll in any university I wanted. I wanted a couple of nothing. Everything was blocked. I was very frustrated that I couldn't
Yeah.
continue my studies the way
Mm,
I wished. Um, it was really, really hard. All of my peers, you're 18, you're thinking, all my peers are, getting in, they're doing, and you kind of like stuck. Like, what is happening to me? Why can't I, it was one of those years that I felt really kind of stupid, and it was like it was just, but
yeah.
really, really frustrated. So I ended up enrolling in this small university. I had to travel. I wasn't happy at all. It was really, I don't, it doesn't sound very, from this perspective, people say, but who cares, 1 year? But at that point, it really meant something to me. I
Yeah.
really wanted to get the education. I wanted to be with my peers, with my high school peers, and continue. I didn't want to lose a generation.
Yeah.
For me, it was really, really hard. I felt I was disconnected with my friends, with everything. So it was really, I really didn't like it. And then, why can't I get this? Because I wanted to study hotel management, and I wanted to go to American University. I was in Croatia back then, and nothing, everything failed. So I ended up doing a business and accounting later. Anyway, but the frustration of not having the possibility and opportunity to actually pursue your dreams was very frustrating. And you're 18, and you think
Mhm.
if you don't do it now, you're never going to have a chance, because you feel that you have like limited amount of time when you're 18. Like
Yeah.
now, when I'm 45, I feel I have all the time in the world. When I was 18, I felt I didn't have any time at all. Which, isn't it
Oh, it's super interesting.
ironic? For
Yeah.
me, it was like really like, oh my God, if I don't do it now, everything is gonna go, it's gonna blow up, blah blah blah. And the way I was brought up is well conditioned by, parents and society. You have to go to school, get married. You know how there's an order in your life. You have to follow you can't just. So that was really one of the hardest things when this was happening. And also it was opposing my Mercury. So it's my studies, the way I think, everything. Like I felt I was stupid. It was really, really bad. Like I really had the self-doubt anyway, a lot. And
Yeah,
it
and
didn't help.
love
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
love that this was when you were 18,
Yeah.
because I think it also brings like a nice insight for anybody that's watching now or even later, is that it's really sort of affects you, the Pluto transit affects you in a way that sort of means something to you at that point, right? So, Pluto opposing the sun for an 18-year-old,
No,
it gets at your,
this was, sorry, this was Moon and Mercury. Sun is
oh,
coming later. I'll talk
sorry.
about Sun later. Yeah, so this was
Yeah.
Moon and
And
Mercury.
it really gets at, like you said, like things that you're sort of with your mind at that point, where you're studying. It
Yeah,
goes at your emotions, how you feel. And that could manifest completely different for somebody that's 60, right?
absolutely.
They are dealing with different issues at that point in time. I love
That's
that. Yeah.
yes, I love that as well. So that's why it's not for it's not the same for everybody. It depends on where you live, what is your current situation, what age are you in, what geographic time. When we look at some charts from the past, celebrities, it wasn't the same looking at a chart from somebody who was born in the 19th century or 20th or 21st, right? It's just not the same because they have different technology, different just awareness, different possibilities, different things that they have in hand, right?
Yeah.
So I was raised in Croatia, so it was like there was a war just before, a few years before that, ending. So it was a lot of stuff going on there, and just anyway. For
Yeah.
me, it was end of the world. I know it sounds funny, but for me, it was really end of the world that I couldn't do the studies that I wanted. But it's funny how at the end everything works out. You know, I did have also I do have I did have I also have Saturn in my 11th house with Mars.
Mhm.
So it's about friendships and hopes and dreams, and just being there restricting me and delaying them, right? So there's also a combination. That's why you have to look at the whole chart. But psychologically, it was really hard. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Psychologically,
Yeah.
it was really hard.
Do you find, was there something, I mean, you were still quite young, so perhaps you just like didn't do any of this, but was there like a thing that you did that sort of helped you get out of it or helped you deal with the emotions
Not
that were coming up?
not at that point. I started a few years later. So kind
Yeah.
of when this went. So that's what I'm saying. So it kind of this hit me, and then I started researching. You know, literally like around when I was around 20. I think it was 1998. Yeah. Then when I started, oh my God, look, there's Reiki. There's meditation, there's like a group prayer, there was like I don't know how to say it in English. There was like those um exercises where you get rid of like those bonds. Like Louisa Hay, I,
Yeah.
I got her book, and then like it was things came to me that I was like, oh my God, yeah, right. So it was really interesting to explore that stuff. And then of course I had a friend. She was into astrology, but she was into Jyotish all the time. So she kind of, I went to some workshops. We were talking about destiny and fate and free will, and what is happening, what is meant to be, not meant to be. Anyway, it's just one of those things. It was easier, but at that time, that year specifically, when I was literally 18, it was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be adult now. I should have my, and then everything was just like a blah, so in that sense, right, was hard. Next, a Pluto transition happened when Pluto was opposing my sun, and that was 2000 and 2001, and this is when my mom died.
Mhm.
So this is really, uh, so that was like, okay, so there's death,
Yeah.
so I had to face death of a person who meant a lot of me, right? So there's like when you have your parents. So I don't want to scare anybody. I'm not saying that it's going to happen to you, because if you saw my mom's chart, that her chart was telling her story, right? So you don't have to, you can't just conclude that. But I'm just telling you that this was, I was 23, and I had to face death. First sickness, and then death,
Yeah.
right? She was sick for a long time. She passed away from cancer. She was fighting cancer for a long time, and that was hard, right? Because uh, of course it's hard because you're losing your connection with your parent, and then, oh my God, guilty conscience. Did I spend a lot of time with her? Did I tell everything that I wanted?
Yeah.
Many things are going like psychologically, uh, that are really really hard. What I got out of all of this, I got stronger. Um, to be honest, if I went through, I don't want to cry, but It's emotional. Yeah. um, the thing is that your parent is always with you. I don't know if anybody's going through anything. They're always with you and they're helping you. Like if I could face that, I can face everything else. That was my thought. I went through this. Nothing can, nothing can now. There's nothing that can beat me at that point, right? So that was my thought, right? So I pull up my chart, my transit, so I can see them. So that's one of those hard situations with Pluto transits.
Yeah.
It gives you the strength that you are not even aware that you have. The
Yeah.
Absolutely the ability um, to see life in a different view. That like I felt that there's no ending. I felt my mom is always with me. So you know what I'm saying. So it was. I know it sounds funny, but then I thought, oh my God, death is not the end.
Yeah.
In that sense. So I always learn from all this stuff, right? Um, anyway, those are the hard Pluto aspects that I experienced. I also had, of course, I got sick. Um, some gynecological. I had to go to the surgery. I had endometriosis, which is tumor, which is also Pluto. It's interesting. I'm just saying it on the health side. So I
Yeah.
went through that at the same time, which was, of course, a reaction of my body emotionally, how I
Yeah.
felt about that, right? But guys, look at me now, you know. So I'm just saying um, it's not
Yeah.
all good because I really feel that Pluto transits transform you and give you the strength that you are not even aware that you have. So you always get stronger out of it. It's like phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
No,
absolutely.
definitely. That's that's what I have also read about Pluto is that um, it's this idea that you go to a deep, dark place,
Hmm.
a place that yeah, it really hurts you,
Yeah,
whether it's you didn't get into your university or your parents dying, but in that moment it feels like hell.
yeah. Like end
But
of
in
the
a way,
world. Like
yeah,
end of the world, literally. Yeah, that's it. No
yeah,
more. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. But at the end of it, because you think, okay, this is the end of the world, and then you see, like, oh, actually, no, there is another day, and I did survive this. It gives you that strength that you didn't know you had. Yeah. Oh, so that's amazing. Thanks for
yeah.
sharing it, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no. The whole purpose of me sharing is to help somebody with
Yeah.
my story because I feel that if sharing stories help. That's how it helped me, listening to other people who went through the same things.
Yeah.
Um, what I was also wanted to mention with Pluto, I lost it for a second. I have to. I lost it for a second. What were you saying just now? Gives you.
That we go in the deep darkness, and then when we realize, oh, actually, it's not the end of the world. We do survive, and we do go. There's another day. That it
Oh
gives us a
yes,
strength that we didn't know
yes.
we
Now I
had.
remember my thought. Back in the day, I was young. If I knew, I was just it was the 90s. It was different time. It was before internet. Internet just came. You have to understand there was no cell phones. There was no internet. There was no actually access to information and possibility. How can you help yourself back in the day? It was just somebody gave me the book from Lisa Hay. This literally, oh my God, I have a
Yeah.
there was like, oh my God, it's a treasure, right? So it was really hard. If I knew that this was coming or that I was going through, I would certainly search for therapy or went for something. Because Pluto transits, you need some kind of a support, somebody who can you can talk to about your deepest fears, deepest uh, issues that you have, and somebody who is objective. I also had an issue actually talking to some of my friends or my dad or my brother because I didn't want to put a pressure on them with my feelings, which is stupid. You should reach out. You should talk about it. Maybe it would be easier for them. Just like this happened and now everybody was dealing with it on their own, which is you know it's also a coping mechanism. But I'm saying if I knew better now, if I go back, if I didn't have if I had any knowledge or access, I would certainly search for a therapist or somebody who can help me go through and understand what am I going through, and Pluto transits can also, okay, if you're born with some hard aspect to Pluto, you will probably do much better because you kind of that you live with it. You know that if you're born with Pluto opposing your sun or squaring, it's not like you like it or it's not easy, but you kind of know it. It's part of you. So when you have some kind of a transit like that, I think it's much easier than for somebody who doesn't know, right?
Yeah.
Just because it is, you kind of,
Yeah, I
you,
love that you mentioned this. I think, for myself, I have a stellium in the fifth house. Actually,
mhm,
Pluto is in my fifth house, but I also have Venus and Jupiter in my fifth house, and it's in Sagittarius. So
mhm.
I am quite optimistic and quite happy and quite like positive. So I think also currently now going through both a Saturn return and through Pluto conjunct my sun, it feels so unnatural, like you say, because I am always like, yeah, let's do it, and looking on the positive side. So to wake up and to feel this whatever Saturn and Pluto are doing,
Yeah.
feels like, wow, this is really not me. Yeah,
Right? Yeah. Who is this? Like, who am I? What is, yeah, who is this person? Right? I mean, especially Pluto with Sun, but it can give it. It's such a beautiful, actually, opportunity to go deep in your psyche and to change, like to be just become stronger. So if you use,
exactly.
going through, you already are doing and practicing astrology, which is beautiful. I wish I did it. I was just it was just one of those things that, oh my god, like when it was he's born and we were just like, oh, he's this.
Yeah,
We were looking at, it was just like a kiddie astrology, right? It was just, I didn't go deeper,
yeah,
especially not in forecasting. I was just
yeah,
I was just focusing. Do we blend? Are we together? What is he like? What is this person like? It was more on of that kind of a astrology. I just
yeah,
wanted to understand myself. Okay, I'm chatty, he's too much water, whatever. Anyway, so this is kind of like one of those things. But when Pluto touches your sun in this sense, and it's a conjunction is blending two planets together. So you get that empowerment because opposition is hard because this is taking you on this side and this is taking on
yeah,
this side. But
yeah,
I know conjunctions are hard, but it's like think about putting energies together. So your sun, your vitality, your strength is combining this psychological empowerment, right? So if you
yeah,
just have the right tools you can become, you're going to be a new person after this guy. No, completely. You're going to be so much
yeah,
empowered. I
yeah.
That's the best word, right?
No, I love
Even if it, even yeah, even if the transit goes through on your sun or on your ascendant. On your moon is a little bit harder, I feel, because there's emotions and there's psyche involved. I think you need more help with the moon.
that.
With the sun and with the ascendant, it is kind of weird and strange, but it's more empowerment. With the moon, I think it's going to take a little bit harder because your emotions are attacked. Like, you know, so it's kind of like, this is your ego. With ego, and at least I think with ego, you can work it out because it's
Yeah.
more rational and logical. And this is emotions and some conscience and emotions together. It can be hard.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love the way you bring it up, the way you talk about the two planets, right? And for anybody that's sort of watching, going through a Pluto transit or will be going through a Pluto transit, really consider like, okay, what is the planet that it's touching or
Yes.
opposing or whatever, and um, what is the energy that that planet is bringing, and then sort of how is Pluto interacting with it. So in a sense, you can already imagine, like if it's planets that are a little bit more, I don't want to say soft,
Yeah.
a bit more
Yeah.
feminine,
Yeah.
Moon, Venus. I can imagine when you have a planet like Pluto touching it,
Mhm.
that also it maybe sort of cowers next to it, right? That, Pluto is this like death and empowerment. I love the word empowerment. And you can imagine when Venus is next to it, that perhaps yeah, the interaction is a little bit uneven. But like you say, the sun is like, imagine the sun actually in the solar system, like shining and hot. And indeed, when it sort of touches Pluto, perhaps it feels like maybe the fight is a little bit more even. Um, and especially for you, you know, when you had the opposition, then it was really like, okay, these
Yeah,
two
yeah,
giants pulling you, one in one way and the other
yeah.
in the other way. So I love that. I don't know, you brought a beautiful picture to my mind of the
I-
planets and how they interact together.
yeah, for me, from my personal experience and from talking to clients, I feel that oppositions are the hardest aspect because
Yeah,
it's just you have to find a middle ground, which is sometimes very hard. With the squares, you're prone to action. You have to you have to act on it. So
yeah,
you will deal with it this way or the other. It will be done. With the conjunctions, if you don't know the energies, it can be hard. But if you understand what's going on, then you can
yeah,
deal because they're also hard because it's like it's two energies becoming one. Imagine like two galaxies into one or two stars becoming one planet or whatever. I'm just thinking, it's very potent. It's very, so that's why conjunctions are, and but oppositions are hard to understand because you're here and this is there, like what why, what, all these
yeah,
questions, right? And it's interesting for my studies, like as I said, in university, it was Sag and Gemini, right? So Pluto in Sag and opposing my Gemini moon and Mercury. It was all about, getting higher education, going through, even traveling. I wanted to travel, I couldn't travel, and everything was,
yeah.
I'm saying, like everything I wanted, it was just, but anyway, later I had an opportunity, and I do feel that my time is coming. It's so funny to say it, but it just, even astrologically, when you look at my chart, I had this Saturn also in the 11th with Mars. It's a delay. It was very hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the 11th house especially. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you though, because you were talking about you know, sort of coming on the other side, feeling like really empowered and like you can do anything. You know, one of the things that I've sort of read about Pluto as well is that it asks you to add a certain meaningfulness to your life. Like we already talked about, you know, you get confronted with the fact that we're all going to die. You get
Yeah.
confronted with this idea that, you know, like I'm only going to live here for 80, 90 years and then I'm going to be gone. And
Mhm.
there's this feeling of like I want to do something meaningful. And it doesn't have to be a feeling of like, oh, I'm going to go volunteer with starving children.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
It can
If you
be,
cheer,
it can. Mhm.
yeah. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, especially when my mom died. She was only 50, but she made an impact to so many people. Like on her funeral, there was like 400 people
Wow.
came. Some people were coming to me. I didn't even know who they were. Your mom helped me. Your mom, when did she have time? Like, when did she do this? Like, anyway, it was
Yeah.
just one of those things
Yeah.
that. And then what I realized at that time, in that sense, like with all this happening, you know what?
Mhm.
Instead of feeling sorry for myself, I'm gonna make sure that my mom's spirit lives,
Yeah.
like her legacy. What is, I'm just, anyway, it was just one of those things that and then what would my mom want from me? She would want me to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, like I went to that philosophical thing. I have a ninth house stellium, so I did very, uh, but that was my thoughts. And then, how about, I miss her. I miss her every day, even now, after all these years. You
Yeah.
miss them, but it's in I don't know. It just I wasn't afraid of death anymore.
Yeah.
There you go. For example, I stopped being. I said, okay. The point is to live your life here the best you can, to best of your abilities. It's like you don't have to do charities, but if I can cheer somebody on the street by smiling at them and making them, what I'm saying, that's an achievement on everyday life. So I thought, I'm not always cheerful and happy. I can be nervous and I'm crying. I'm not the perfect. Don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to be positive in a way, in a practical way, and keep the spirit. Keep, if I die tomorrow, I'll have no regrets. That's how I live my life.
Oh,
That's,
I
for
love.
example, because I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
yeah,
It sounds like there's a certain, like things sort of get clear. You know, I think you know, if you haven't had any major Pluto transits, you know, all of us, we have
yeah,
things that sort of cloud things a bit for us, you know, whether we're afraid of being rejected or we're afraid of not belonging or, you know, we're afraid of dying. So these things sort of cloud our way, you know. Actually, what we want to do is play violin, but there's this afraidness or fear of not being accepted. So it clouds our judgment, and then we end up, I don't know, being a doctor instead. And I think
right?
what it sounds like what happens with these Pluto transits is it sort of it clears all of that away, and then you're sort of like, okay, I see it now, and I do want to do something that feels meaningful to myself.
Absolutely. And always go back to the natal chart. When I talk to people, go to natal chart. What is Pluto doing in my chart? It's trining my sun exactly, like a half a degree off.
Yeah,
Not even 15 minutes. So this gives me, like I was born with this sense of empowerment, like I
yeah,
can, of having control or, psychological depth. Like it gives me, because it's a trine with sun. So I have it in me. Plus Pluto is in my first house. So I
yeah,
kind of was able to deal with Pluto transit maybe easier than for somebody else. So don't get me, it was hard, but I went through it.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So that's first. And Pluto is squaring my Venus. So the big impact was on, on my self-worth. Like as I said, when when this was, especially with my university, like, am I worth? What is this? My self-confidence. It was like more of the Venusian things,
yeah,
and later in life, I did have relationship issues, which I feel that this Pluto transit actually prepared me. I felt Saturn return and Saturn transits. I feel them more than Pluto.
oh,
Although Pluto is
interesting.
transformational, Pluto is darker and harder. Not for me personally, but Saturn. And I know it's with conjunction with Mars. It gives me all these delays. And my Saturn return, even now, Saturn is squaring my Moon and
Mm,
my Mercury. I
mm,
work a lot. There's no resistance. The results are not as I wish them to be, and I know it's going to be delayed, and but it's emotionally draining and stuff. I feel Saturn more
yeah,
in my everyday life, and Saturn transit is harder. So I experience them harder than Pluto. When
yeah,
Pluto was squaring my Pluto, just I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. You know
yeah,
what happened? Nothing. People like Pluto square Pluto. What happened? Nothing. I came to Canada. Yes, I had to find my place here, but when was that? I don't even know. When was? Okay, let me look now. I don't know. When was Pluto 14 degrees of Capricorn? Do we know? 14, 20, 2015. Yeah, 2016. So I came to Canada. So the only thing that was hard for me is coming to and establish myself here.
yeah,
But I get it. But it wasn't something I wasn't prepared. So people are scared. Oh, Pluto square Pluto. For me, but as I said, I know Pluto energy. I kind of understand it. I embrace it.
yeah.
I know it's
And
Saturn
I
was
think
much
that,
harder.
yeah, I think that also has to do with the fact that Pluto is in your first house.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's really important to take a look at where Pluto is in your birth chart. And that will really bring up also, indeed, your relationship with that planet and what the transits are bringing up in the conversation. You know, with having Pluto in your first, like that really means that it's a part of your identity. Like it's really a part of you in a way. So in that sense, it totally makes sense that when a Pluto transit happens, of course it's still difficult, but it's not the same relationship that you have with a Saturn
Yes.
transit, for example.
Yeah. For me personally, Saturn is much harder. It's in Leo. It's conjunct Mars. It's in the 11th
Yeah,
house of friendship, hopes, and dreams. And it's hard. When you have, like, my dream to be an astrologer. Look, I'm 45, but I'm saying it gives you that after 40, after all this Uranus opposition, these squares. After I've been through most of the major aspects already. Right.
yeah.
So, and it's good on the other side. Don't be afraid. It's good. We have cookies. Come to the
We
dark side. We have
have
cookies.
cookies. I love it.
I'm kidding a little bit, but having that, reach out if it's hard. If I knew better, maybe I don't know. Reach out to somebody, whoever you find that can. Today, thank God, we have ability to see what's out there on the market. I know it's maybe overwhelming for someone. You have to be, use discernment for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But there is opportunity. There's astrology that can help you. Um, there's so many, I don't even know, Reiki and this and that, and so many hypnotic regressions and family constellations. And there's like many, many, many things that they help you now with heart Pluto transit that, we were not aware back then. Like, we literally had like a phone, and, if you're not home, you missed the call, you didn't go and see the friend. Like that's the day, you can't, I know kids today that, this generation Z, whatever, they can't even imagine how it was without technology. We literally didn't have, somebody would knock at your door and, oh, do you want to go play outside? Oh yeah, it was just, it was that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
I want to mention something that helped me a lot. It's a book from my first teacher, Steve Judd. It's about Pluto, the lore of Pluto reshaping the void. And it's all about Pluto. It's a great book, many
Ah,
things. And
I haven't heard that
yeah,
one.
yeah. And he has a new edition. So on Amazon, you can find it on Amazon. A new edition is an old edition. But this is one of the first books I read back in the day. I don't know, it was like 7, 8 years ago. And it was really good because it gave me like understanding of this Pluto energy, which I already kind of knew. It gave me like a confirmation. Or yeah, So that's also another recommendation for a good Pluto book that I wanted to mention. Anyway,
Nice.
I don't know if you have any more questions. I think that's, we can do another for Saturn. That's going to be a different story.
Yeah.
That's a much
Yeah,
harder
let's
for me. Yeah. But I
no,
know you're
it
going
was
through something.
yeah,
Don't be afraid. My whole point is don't be afraid. Embrace it.
yeah,
Embrace the transformation.
yeah,
Read, educate yourself, read about it, get to know yourself better, get your chart read. Get a good first start with astrology. Find somebody who you feel connected to, any kind of astrologer who you feel connected to. Just use your intuition as well when you use your astrology. I always say that because it's very important. And
yeah.
then first get to know yourself, what is happening to yourself, and then you can go from there and then find some additional research and Pluto is also about research and finding deep and
Yeah.
digging deep. So
No, exactly. I love it. A lot of the things that you shared, I was sort of like identifying with myself as well, going through the Pluto conjunct my sun. Um, it hasn't reached exact. I think that's gonna be actually exactly on my birthday on January 20th.
see, so your next year, your next solar return year, this is it. This is where
Yeah,
you get you take over power. So
yeah,
nobody can control you. That's the whole point. That you don't let circumstances and other people or circumstances control you. You are in charge.
yeah.
This is
I
what
love that.
you are going to be in charge finally.
I love it. Yeah, so no, a lot of the things that you sort of were expressing, I was identifying as well, like, okay, feeling this feeling of like, okay, do we talk to our parents enough before they die?
Yeah,
Do we, are we doing things that are meaningful? Are there like things we're afraid of? Are there things coming up that we need to like talk to others about? So all of this stuff, I was like, yep, yep, yeah. Check, check, check.
yeah. To be honest with my dad, after my mom died, I kind of got to know my dad. I didn't know him before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a different, kind of, thing. And then I'm with peace. We had all these discussions, and I'm with peace whatever happens with him. So that's good, right? So
Yeah.
it kind of this experience prepares me for the other. So that's how it
Yeah.
goes, right?
No, for sure. I think indeed it's like things are gonna come up, but it's for the better. Um, it's not just coming up because Pluto's like, haha,
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at what
for
I can
sure.
do.
Yeah. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
You don't know maybe know what it is at the time because you don't. You have to. There's always this Saturn coming. You need time needs to pass, and even grief, even it just needs time, and then you can all go back and see what really happens.
Yeah.
That's why we have all these cycles, even the new moon and full moon cycles. You start something, but you see the results in 6 months, and into whatever the cycle is. So think about it. Uh, there's no instant gratification. There's no instant reward. There's no instant
Stuck.
solution. There's no magic wand. Okay, oh, it's gonna be
Yeah.
better. It
Mm.
just doesn't exist, right? So you just accept it. So what do I need to do? And if you know that it's going to end, for me, that gives me so much more peace. Okay, this is going to last for, like, I know Saturn is hitting now, my Moon and Mercury this year, Sun next year. And then when 2025 comes, I'm going to have Uranus coming to Gemini over my placement. Pluto is going to trine my Moon and Mercury, right?
Oh, nice.
So looking forward to 2025, 2026. That's the only thing I can do
I
at
love
this
it.
point,
And
right?
until then, you're just like hiding under your
Just
blanket.
working. I'm just gonna work. I'm gonna work, whatever, and I don't expect anything. There's no expectation at this point,
Yeah.
and because otherwise I'm gonna be frustrated and I won't do anything. So, you know, also, I always say with everything that I do in my consultations or whatever, you just, this is, I I just hope that, the person found me at the right time, at the right moment, right person, and I'm going to give them the right information they need at this point.
Yeah.
Or if I get a book that I need, maybe this is the book I need. Or somebody tells me something, I'm thinking, maybe this is. So I'm just going with, I'm not going with the flow, but kind of, if you, so if anybody feels that I help them, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing. If you needed to hear what I need to say, that's good. That makes me
Yeah.
happy. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, for many stuff we do, we don't even know that if we did impact other people, or we don't see the results, right? Sometimes you do things you don't see them because somebody, it just, universe works in a magical way. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love it. I love it. That's a wonderful way to end like a Pluto chat. I think Pluto is this realization that um, everything's okay. Things are working out even if it doesn't seem like it. And yeah, that at the end like it will be okay.
It will,
Yeah.
it will, guys. I mean, I can't promise anything because there's no promises. There's no, but if you're aware and you do you try to do the right thing, as long as you try, because
Yeah.
you won't succeed all the time, but it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Oh, I love this chat, Yasmina.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope it helps whoever. And if you have any questions or you want to talk to me, I'm always open to help and chat. And thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you as well.
Yeah, of
Bounce, because
course.
it's very hard for me to talk to myself. I rarely do anything that I don't bounce idea. I need, as a Gemini, I need to bounce off idea with
Exactly.
somebody else. Um,
Exactly. I love
I,
it. Let's do Saturn next.
yes, please. Whenever you feel like it, let me know. I think December first, late December. I'm not going to do much, but still have some openings in the beginning of December. So let me know,
Cool.
and we can do something. I would love that. Yes, I would love that
I love
because
it.
that story is that story. This is. I don't think Pluto is nothing after you hear my Saturn story.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm really intrigued.
See, to be continued.
Way to keep the suspense up.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day and happy new moon to everybody. It's not an easy new moon. Please be careful. Don't get your buttons get pushed. It's a little bit of on a viral, on an aggressive side. So
Yeah, Mars and Uranus.
yeah. I don't. And it's Scorpio, so just
Yeah.
it can just sneak up onto you if just don't get involved. If you can, stay at the back and just because don't get it's provoking energy. Scorpio is
Mm,
get provoked with this Mars poking. Don't get
yeah.
poked. Just walk away. Don't get
Yeah.
poked. And it's
I
even
love it.
hard. I'm talking to everybody, but talking to myself first because I'm gonna first be the to react like
Really, this is advice for me.
no, it's
I love
for
it.
everybody. Trust me. Anyway, it's hard sometimes to walk away from when you're
For sure. For sure.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you
Yasmina.
as well. Have a good day, everybody. Kisses and hugs.
Bye.
Bye.